this is the first guy who's, like, very straightforward, and he's like, I don't care if, like, you're on your period. Like, I'm fine with it. And I'm like, no, it's icky. You don't like it. And he's like, I don't care. Like, if it makes you feel better, like, then sure. If you want to do it, then I don't fucking care. And he's very, like, he's the most sex-positive person I've ever been with. And it's, like, starting to rub off on me. So, like, it's kind of cool. Like, girls in my office were like, oh, sex on your period? Gross. And I was, like, just sitting there quietly, and I was like,
dumb bitches.
I was like, I know something you don't know. I'm like, it's so great.
I feel like
you have to have.
For you.
I feel like you have to have, like, an awakening of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, if there's no one in your life, and honestly, it has to be a person of the sex that you want to have sex with, let's say.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have a person who, like, sort of ushers you through this sort of awakening. And, like, I remember the guy who, like, told me all the things. And I mean, everything crazy I've ever done, he was the guy that walked me through that door. But he was always with me, and he always, like, was taking care of me, and I was never unsafe. And, like, anything that I did that was crazy or weird, he was always nearby. Yeah. I could be like, I'm going to try this. Can you come and, like, just be near, and I can call you if there's a problem? And he's like, yeah. Like, even when we stopped dating, he would, like, be there for me as a, like, assistant in any way. Like, if it was like, I have a date with this new guy, I just want to let you know in case I disappear from the earth. You know, because when I knew him and when I had my personal sexual awakening was in New York City, which is a kind of a dangerous, large, huge place that you can easily get lost in.
A lot of sexual awakenings happen there, though. I've read.
I don't know. I mean, I think it was just the time of my life, you know, like I was just in my 20s the way everyone's in their 20s and has sex with people and whatever. Yeah. But it was like, until someone tells you that you're okay to do that it's not wrong in some way. I mean, because so much of sex we're told is wrong.
Yeah.
So,
or like, ooh, a real, like, lady doesn't do this thing or doesn't do that thing. And it's like, what if that's the thing that, like, gets you off?
Right.
And then you're constantly like, I'm not supposed to like this. I'm not supposed to ask for it. I can't tell him that I like it because he's going to judge me. I think, like, the person that I'm with right now, like, it sounds crazy, but, like, he is the first person who, during, like, sexual anythings, has told me, like, you don't have to apologize for stuff. Like, if something doesn't work, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, if I'm not able to, like, have sex, which happens a lot, like, in my experience, and, like, or if I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this thing, like, oh, I'm sorry, or, like, I constantly am just like, I'm really sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and he's like, you don't have to apologize, like, it's fine, like, cool, we're done. And I'm like, that's like, my mind just, like, blew up. I was like, I don't have to accommodate you and, like, say I'm sorry, and, like, this isn't, like, a shameful thing. And he's like, no, like, we're fine. Like, it's cool. Let's just go to sleep, or let's just hang out. Like, we'll do something else. I'm like,
yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out. Yeah.
Yeah. And that just makes me, like, want to have sex more. Because then I'm like, oh my God, like, you care. I think that's the biggest thing, is, like, expressing that, like, you are safe. And, like, whatever you come up with, I'm not gonna freak out. Like, if I don't want to do it, I'll tell you. But, like, yeah, like, it's stupid. It's not stupid, but, like, it's funny to think about sex and being like, oh, the best part is, like, that you know that you're safe. And, like, that person, even if you're just hooking up, like, they're not gonna do anything bad. They're not gonna, like, tell people about it or judge you. Like,
I actually think you can't have sex unless you feel safe.
Yeah. Like, you physically can't do it.
Like, I appreciate the whole scenarios in unsafitude that we won't deal with. But in the case of, like, having an orgasm, you have to relax to a certain level before you can accomplish it. Otherwise, your whole body's tensed and you're never going to let it go.
Yeah.
Like, an orgasm is letting it go.
Yeah.
It's like releasing in a certain way. But you, like, if you're too nervous about what's going on, nothing's going to work. You're just going to be like, yeah, you're just smacking at flesh.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's going to work out. Yeah. I hope you like it, but I'm just sitting here feeling nothing because I'm too nervous.
And that's been my experience for, like, almost all of my, like, sexual experience has been, like, there's something in the back of my mind that's like, this isn't right, or like, I want to communicate something, but I don't know how, and just being like, like, a lot of times just feeling like, okay, I gotta just do it, like, I guess this is it, that's fine, So I'm like super excited to be in a part of my life where it's like, no, I'm doing it because I like it. And like I'm like doing it more than I ever have before because I'm like, how? Oh, ooh, like it feels great. Like it's a cool new part of my life that I'm like in control of, and like I think it's made a big difference on like who I am as a person. Like now that I feel like, oh, this whole part of me that's never been explored is now like comfortable and safe and like is just a regular part of my life and not like a taboo. I think it's been like really helpful and everything.
Absolutely. I think it really helps with confidence.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain level of like, because sex is something that everyone has.
Yeah.
And it's something you're always going to have.
Yeah.
And so if you can master that thing, then you can be like, yeah, all right. I can do stuff.
Yeah.
This is cool.
I'm like, this is fun.
That's fine.
I just want to point out that Amy said unsafitude a second ago.
I was just like, yeah, unsafitude.
And like,
I know it wasn't a word, but I like...
It's almost, and I only did it to sort of like diffuse the scenario where it's like, I'm the one guy and sex is like a whole gross, nasty, dumb thing for me. So it's like, I just feel bad and I just wanted to point out a grammatical mistake. This isn't even about,
you said that wrong.
I don't care, you said it wrong, so can we just talk about something a little more, something I could...
Hey, how about those Mets?
Because you could have a gun to my head, and I think sex is still something I could pull off if you gave me enough time.
Yeah, but men's bodies work different.
Very much so, and I acknowledge
men's bodies, like, have erections without arousal. So, like, that in and of itself means that the body runs on an autopilot that doesn't have anything to do with feelings.
I used to call them pee boners when I was a kid.
Great.
I used to call my vagina my front butt.
Me too.
Oh!
I was like, oh, my front butt itches. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, my front butt. They're like, Caitlin, shut up. I'm like, what? I was like, that's what it is. It's
That's what my sister called it.
That's
my sister and I both called it, yeah. That's what it is. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's a tiny butt in the front and a big butt in the back.
Little butt, big butt. Yeah. I will say about the involuntary boners, like, involuntary versus voluntary, the biggest compliment that I recently received was after like a long trip, and we were like going to bed. We were so tired. He was like, again, this could probably get edited out. He was like, babe, you look so hot. I wish I could have sex right now, but I'm so tired. And then we like snuggled up, and I was like, oh, yep. I'm like, there it is. I was like, oh.
He's not full of shit.
Yeah, but I was like, that's really sweet. I'm like, I've never gotten that before. He's like, oh, really wish I could.
Is willing.
He's like, can't do it right now. There's no way. But like, wish I could. I was like, dancing.
We have a very short time left, so whatever you're going to bring up, make it quick.
Oh yeah, what's your dumb question?
No, now I can't.
Yeah, it's okay. We have another recorder going if you want to
just
ask her something that's going to last longer.
No,
if it goes past the...
I was going to just like tell a really embarrassing, like one of my first sexual stories, but because like fuck this whole conversation is taking like a really like uplifting tone towards the end, so I'm not gonna be like, so if you had to fuck your dad or your cousin, you know, like I wouldn't I come up with really dumb, stupid questions sometimes.
They're usually like crazy, weird moral things that like lead you down the rabbit hole of like why you would do something for the deeper reason.
Okay,
no, don't ask the question. Don't ask the question. No,
I'm like just to put it out there.
No, I'll do it after when I'm recording just to see. Because all of a sudden, like, how quickly you wanted to answer that.
Well, I don't want people to think that I would ever say my dad. Like, gross.
Yeah, but there's conditions to your question, aren't there?
It's actually easier.
He's ridiculous.
It's a much harder question to wrap your mind around.
It's
when I first discovered masturbation, nothing came out. That's how young I was. And
oh yeah, I got in trouble for humping couches.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, like in the sense of like I would just do it, and then the reason I masturbated though is because like while nothing came out for about 10 seconds at the end of every day, I couldn't make myself sad. That was what it was to me as a kid. Like I would do it, and then the emotional thing that happened inside of my head, and then I would sit there and try and think of things that make me sad, and it wouldn't.
But isn't that like the tickling yourself thing? Like you can't really tickle yourself.
Yeah,
well, that's like tickling yourself, I guess, in a
but I just mean like
specific way.
No.
Well, I mean, because I didn't understand what I was doing. Is I guess what I'm saying. Like Nothing was coming out. I didn't like. I just realized that if I put enough time doing this one activity, at the very end of it, there was this weird rush of emotions where I was the happiest ever, and nothing could make me sad.
That's what I was saying. Like, if you're trying to make yourself sad, then it might not work, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't make myself sad until it actually happens. But because
it was the only way he could identify it.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I could today masturbate and then immediately make myself sad.
Oh yeah, I can't do now.
I often do.
I'm very immediately sad. A lot of the times, like if you're thinking about
you're just kind of lying there. You're like, what?
And you're just like, ugh. I look like this.
You're like, wow, I'm real soft. Yeah. Just gotta stand up awkwardly. The funny thing is when you're a woman and you're using a vibrator and then you have to go wash it. That always feels like such a weird. I can't get over it. I'm like,
a fleshlight.
Fleshlights are things now.
That's a much larger.
I rinse it out and just kind of be like, that's a lot harder to clean.
Yeah, because there's a specific soap.
It's like cleaning a vagina.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like once the rush of reality comes back in after the fact, and then I have to that's my job. That's what has to happen immediately after.
Oh, I just got the idea that would be a beautiful scene for a short film or an indie flick. Of just not even the masturbation part, just the cleaning process, and this is what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, just totally silent.
And it's not. It's so robotic and just there's my thing.
There's a whole process.
Versus a woman where you just rinse it off. On the bidet, got a lot of energy. Just I get really energized. I'm just whoa.
Oh, okay, it's still going. Yeah. Good. So I didn't end it with that.
No.
Let's keep talking. Real fast.
I'm glad that we get to end with Caitlin just being when I masturbate, when I come, I'm just get to my to-do list.
It's so hard to get to the bottom.
No, I'm so tired. That's why I'm surprised when you say you're energized because I get really tired.
Yeah, and my partner gets really tired.
I get I can't get anything done tired. I can move my body, but I'm not going to.
I'm let's go out.
I always get tired after sex, just sleepy. But then I'm energized after masturbating.
Yeah, I get energized either way. Mostly because
Can I ask a personal question that's not going to be recorded? Well, actually kind of is, but I promise not to make it public.
Yeah, we can draw the line there.
When you say have sex, do you mean vaginal intercourse that does not result in you having an orgasm? And then when you say masturbation, you mean you doing whatever you do to achieve orgasm?
No,
because that could be why it's different.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Just throwing that out there.
Podcast
I was going to say whenever I have sex and have an orgasm, then I'm just asleep.
Oh, okay.
Right away.
Well, it's a much more physical activity too.
Yeah,
depending on how you do it.
Yeah, and
if you play your cards right, it's not.
Yeah.
I just winked when I said.
Wink to Delia too.
I like to figure out how little can I move.
Oh, work harder. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, exactly.
All you gotta do is angle yourself in a way that you don't have to move. No, I can maintain this angle. No, this right leg can stay in that position all day.
That's the funniest when you're having sex with someone and they're like, "Are you okay? Is your arm falling asleep?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." I'm I'm perfect. I got it. I'm shush.
Found it.
I haven't shushed anybody during sex in a couple years. I feel really proud of that.
In a couple years.
I used to do that a lot because it was so difficult.
Wait, you're just concentrating
I was so concentrated and I just want to get there. And so I'd be so close and then they'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to start talking dirty right at the end." And I'd be like, "Da, da, 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 da." I'm like, "Stop." I think that's when I realized I was doing that. That's when I knew ooh, this relationship is not working. Because I was just you need to stop talking. It's too much.
Oh, that's good.
But I think at one point I literally put my hand over his mouth, and that's when I was like, "No." I'm oh no. We've gone too far.
The mouth is the worst part of you, then.
Yeah, I'm I can't listen to you talk anymore.
If who you are as a person comes out is the bad part.
I feel it's really funny, watching shows I Can't Watch Girls, but watching shows Girls, Transparent, the shows that I think are actually objectively the best shows. I'm I can't watch them that easily because I identify too much with the characters because it brings out this bad part, and you're like, oh, like, what is that person doing? And you're like, I would have done